House of Representatives Committee on Petroleum Resources Downstream has vowed to go after people behind petrol racketeering and downstream sharp practices. This is as the committee resolved to work with the leadership of the Nigerian Association of Road Transport Owners and the Petroleum Products Retail Outlets Owners Association of Nigeria to guarantee petroleum products availability and affordability. Chairman of the committee, Ikenga Ugochinyere, said at a meeting with the two unions in Abuja called on the federal government to encourage local petroleum products refiners, saying doing so would help increase availability and affordability of petroleum products in Nigeria. The committee also called for reactivation of the country's 23 oil depots and pipelines to ease transportation of petroleum products across the country.
The committee agreed with NARTO and Petroleum to find sustainable solution to the present challenges facing the petroleum product distribution and retail outlet owners to avert any further strike or disruption of the supply or retail chain. The committee agreed with NARTO and Petroleum for an all-inclusive meeting with leadership of the National Assembly, regulators, and other key stakeholders like DAPMAN, MOMAN, NMPCL, NUPENG, and security agencies to tackle issues of multiple charges, sharp practices, and rising costs for transportation.
We have made all efforts as contained by the Act to negotiate with the marketers with a view of arriving at a figure that will enable us to continue the work we have been doing to supply petroleum products across the country.
Now with me in the studio is the chairman of the House Committee on Petroleum Resources Downstream, Ikenga Ugochinyere, to speak more on this and other issues affecting the country. Good to see you and thanks for your time. These are times that a lot of people first were excited that your committee and other members of the civil society moved in to stop what would have become a big issue when this occurred. First of all, let's get an update of where we are on this because that proposed strike was shelved owing to the intervention of your committee and some other well-meaning Nigerians. So where are we at the moment?
I think I'll first start by appreciating the sacrifice made by the leadership of NATO and Petroleum, who, in the spirit of knowing that this is not the right time for this, is going to worsen the already economic situation and affect the prices of goods, and they were able to shift ground. And I must also commend the National Security Advisor, Niho Ribadu, and the chairman of the authority chief of the NNDPRA, Farouk, and other key, especially the oil minister, Lokbobri, and other key stakeholders who also stepped in to prevail on NATO. So as of this moment, even when we met and discussed with them, we agreed part of that resolution was that there will be no strike for now, and that we should do everything possible to continue to create stability in the industry, while at the same time addressing those issues that would have led to those strikes. Those issues have been here with us. So, my committee also frowned at the idea of when this organization raised these concerns, just like what is happening with NLC, we keep waiting until the midnight of the deadline, and we now start having engagement on how to resolve it. It doesn't show seriousness. They wrote some of those letters of complaint 1 month ago, 2 weeks ago. So, like they just woke up one morning and said they wanted to go to strike. And the issues they raise is very clear. Everybody is aware of the economic situation in the country. You don't expect them to be transporting petroleum product at 30 naira per liter or thereabouts. So, the roads are very bad, and the equipment they use in servicing those big trucks, all of them are also imported. So we must come to understand that it's not like NATO is trying to create trouble. There are situations on the ground. Everybody is feeling it. Things are changing. So we should have listened to them even before now. But they have given us their word that they are pulling and have called their men back to the roads, and they have started lifting petroleum products. NNDPRA worked overnight to ensure the backlog is also cleared so that we don't have filling stations running empty. So as of this moment, everything has come back to normalcy. But it is temporary in the sense that if the issues they raise is not addressed immediately, then they're going to go back to to strike.
Well, I think from your opening, a lot of people were involved, a lot of groups, organizations, which is good, very nationalistic. But you also raised some concern that going forward, that there are some issues that the country should look into, the area first of petroleum racketeering, and you also spoke about perhaps small refineries that can spring up and be given the ideal license to operate. Speak to us more on the findings of your committee. What do you mean by petroleum racketeering? Everyone had thought that with the removal of subsidy and with what we already have at the moment, all is well.
No, all is not well. First of all, apart from the issues of the cost, which is no longer acceptable to NATO in moving the product, there were other many issues of multiple charges. They complain about charges from paying charges from different organizations. By the time you put these charges together, it affects what is delivered at the retail outlets. And the retail outlet also complain about getting the product quality, affordable, and so on and so forth. Now you have two types of pricing system. They complained also about the fact that you have an allocation that comes from NNPC retail on a different price, and then you have an allocation that comes from OVH, which is supposed to be a company already acquired by NNPC retail. So I don't understand why it is still standing. That's why also there's also parliamentary investigation that's also started on that aspect, different pricing. And then they also complain about the fact that they need to, as businessmen, keep their stations wait. And what they mean by that, they have to keep sourcing for product. And that's why you see at times you can get substandard product, you can get product has quality. And then they talked about the issues that most times you see people who now have a location to lift. Maybe they don't even have filling station, they don't even have storage, and then they sell to them, and maybe they get at a price that is 620, 610, and then maybe by the time you go to the east or to Kano, somebody selling 700 or thereabout. And also it's important when we talked about the issue of the over 23 depot stations that the country used to have in the past, mainly being managed by NNPCL, that why are those depots working? Because if all these depots are working, there may be no need for us to store some of these products with private depot owners. Private depot owners should be able to source their product. It's now a deregulated market. They should be able to import their product. And also more importantly, there's national pipeline network that we have across the country. Runs from Port Harcourt to Enugu, the ones that runs from Lagos to Ibadan, some runs up the way to Suleja, to Kaduna, and so on and so forth. That if these pipelines are reactivated, the pressure on the road will reduce. So what NATO will be doing would possibly be to move product from Gombe, maybe to Adamawa or something. Not
where there are no pipelines.
Yes, pipeline. Not to move product from Lagos crossing to Lokoja into Kano or Castina. By the time they get involved, the road is not good, the charges and so on and so forth. That if these pipelines can be reactivated, and that's why we agreed as a committee with them that we'll reopen investigation to find out what is the status of this national pipeline that goes across all parts of the country, and the depot, are they functional? And then recently the NNPCL said they have given concessions or contract to reactivate some of this pipeline and depot. So our committee will be going to find out, are they working? What is the issue? Because if we can bring them back, then it will reduce the cost of moving this product from different parts of the country. And then we looked at the environmental impact of each time the Navy discovers illegal refineries, they bomb it, and then the whole thing spills and the environment is damaged.
They destroy it right there.
Yes. When I say that since these people have gotten technology to refine some of these products, even if it's not standard, let's find a licensing regime and financing system that will support them so that they can do it in a legitimate way. It will create more employment, it will reduce pressure on efforts, instead of just destroying those technologies, throwing them back to the unemployment market. And then the environment, look at the Niger Delta, is like it's not a place somebody can live any longer. By the time all you stop running, those people will be in a horrible situation. These are the issues we say we're going to look into. And more importantly, to find out these middlemen who are not causing this problem, that if NNPCL said their product is 590 or 610 or thereabout, then somebody is still selling this product at 700. What is going on? Some of them complain that people are now, because NNPCL is now the major importer of PMS, which is also not an improvement going by the intent of the PIA. The PIA idea was just to liberalize the market and see private importers springing up in every part of the country. But because of the FS problem and a kind of regulation of the price, because this price seems to have been fixed at a particular rate. Now, a foreigner who wants to invest in the downstream will look at the price and look at his landing cost, and he may not want to import because he cannot sell at those see something. So these are the issues there is, and we'll resolve that. We're going to work and resolve them.
Let's quickly bring in this before we let you go, and it has to do with the local refiners. What exactly do we know about our local refiners? Are they the same as those people would want to call saboteurs, or do they have licenses already to refine these products locally?
Right now, because of the PIA, there have been so much influx of what we can call a local refinery. Some of them can call modular refineries. There are many refining stations that have sprang up. If you go to Guta, you have Watersmith. You go to Delta, you have about 3 or 4. Well, like almost about 10 or thereabout now. Some of them are even refining their diesel. Some are doing gas. Some are doing PMS. But now most of them are completing their infrastructures. Maybe in the next 2-3 years, a lot of them is going to spring up. Apart from the big, mega, huge refineries that have, like the Dangote, the ones Bua is doing in Akwa Ibom, and the Port Harcourt and Kaduna and Warri refineries. There's also small ones, which is also the intendment of the PIA, going by the fact that there was local refineries that were running some illegally at that time. That was why the PIA gave room for these companies and plan to be licensed for them to be producing product. But the most important thing is that if we don't fix the PMS issue, whether distribution, whether availability, and including crude availability for some of these refineries, because you can see the challenges that will happen if at the end of the day these refineries come on stream, both the big one and the local one and the small ones and the modular ones, whatever you want to call it, and then you now discover that we don't have enough crude, then it becomes a problem. That is why, ensuring that there's crude availability to feed those domestic supplies is very important, and that is why I had expected, for instance, instead of recently I saw the finance minister talking about palliatives, talking about
I was actually going to ask you that now. It's my closing question to you. Now, I hope you don't lose your train of thought. We've also seen the customs, selling some of these bag of rice that were seized. So, do you think that what we're dealing with at the moment, the conditional cash transfers and the palliatives of bags of rice to people like your constituents and other parts of the country is the right way to go?
These are temporary so-called. They are not going to solve any problem. What do I mean by that? For instance, the key problems, even if you share the rights today and do the conditional cash transfer today, but the monetary, fiscal, and other policies and non-availability of FS and crude for export continues to worsen, in that case, you're going to share rice and pay 25,000 for the rest of your life. Now, that's why I said it had been up to 6 weeks, more than. The president gave the Wele Edu panel about 6 weeks to conclude the report on the issues of Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. Some meet also the financial roadmap of how they will be functioning. But this is more than 6 weeks. Then what we now saw tomorrow, yesterday or thereabout, that he said government is going to resume the conditional cash transfer. I don't think a finance minister should have time for all those petty issues. What you should do is submit your report to the president, let the ministry come back on stream, then you focus on fiscal policies. First of all, I don't even think whether the finance minister knows the quantity of crude produced daily and the quantity sold daily, because you need to find out why is the reason why the crude production is dropping, because it is from there that is going to generate money. You are holding 50% of NNPC Incorporated. Have you found out with them what they are producing, what are the challenges? You need to grow production. You need to block leakages so you can generate revenue. And then the custom people, the rice that are talking about, how are we sure that some of these rice are also quality for human consumption? And more importantly, let's find a way to reduce the number of people who are giving waiver so that we can be able to increase revenue. If we set laws, we should not give waivers and bend those laws. So I think those agencies should leave this issue of palliative and humanitarian issues for Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. Let that report be submitted and let the president get that ministry running. Let finance minister, let customs focus on these physical issues that will help to create revenue and inflows of foreign currency. Because if we don't have those things flowing in, then we are going to continue to run into economic problem. Let me tell you, I don't buy the idea of seeing police, EFCC, DSS in Zone 4. That's like an ancient way. Let's find a way to fix this issue using our legislation, using most decent modern ways to do it. Because at the end of the day, if you don't have this dollar, you don't have this dollar.
Using our legislation, that's a fine place for us to leave it. Representative Ikenga Ugochinyere, who's the chairman of the House Committee on Petroleum Resources Downstream. Many thanks for speaking with us.